Hi guys, in this video I am going to show you how to sketch portraits confidently and accurately. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. The first thing I want us to see when we look at this whole figure is there's a lovely kind of I like to see shapes within the head, and there's a lovely sort of circle right there. I'm just going to put circle right in, just a kind of circle. It's an ellipse. I can feel it. It's kind of like there, and along that ellipse I can just break it into an angle to show the side of that face, just like that. Bang bang, you see? And then over here it curves. So over here it curves. You see how that I've done that? And then the angle then goes straight, and then the angle goes a bit straight, like it's a tilted angle. Oops, I don't want that happening. And then as it goes down, all of a sudden you see a straight line come down, like boom. It's kind of straight. I feel it straight, but you know, it just, and remember I'm using an 8B, but I'm using it very lightly, okay? So I've got that. And then let's go to the back of the head. So the back of the head, there's a lot happening. Like, whoa, this is just a flyer off. Like, whoa, bingo, bingo. Like, look at that. It's a flyer, just another curve. I like to see these lovely shapes. And then inside here, look at this one. It's just like a headband. There's another one. It just goes like that. And then there's one that flies like a chain. It just goes zoop. And then there's one that comes out and just goes straight down. Bang. And then, but remember the key area here. There's one area here that is here, and I'm going to enhance that a bit. And then there's another area here that I'm going to enhance a bit. That's so important because that area, it's like, I'm going to give it a little shade. It's like a junction, a very important junction. Okay, so you can see how I'm plotting this whole thing, thinking about the top of the head, just thinking about the whole point here. And then over here, look at in here, there's a little circle. I'm just going to put that circle in there. It's a lovely circle with light, and the light shape then goes down. Look at that. I'm already thinking of that light shape. It goes down. It looks like a head. Like this looks like a head, and this like a neck. Something like that happens. Now it goes all the way down, and you get here. Look at this shape. Boom! Look at that. Boom! There you go. And it just joins up to this side of the head beautifully. So now we have to feel this whole head now as a whole sphere where there's an axis that goes through. So look, I'm just going to run the whole thing like an axis going through. Nice axis going through. You've got to see an imaginary line. And then as this line comes down here, look at that. As that line comes down here, we've got to see the overall shape, not the eye itself, the overall shape. Look at that. And that looks more like an egg with a very pointed point. So look at what I'm going to do here. Very important area. Look at this. Look at this. But it goes to a point. So I call this the eye area. It's the eye area, just the whole eye area. It has to feel right, okay? And then within that eye area, now we can start to plot, and we've got that big, lovely eyelid. We've got an opening of the eye. Look at that opening of the eye. It just opens, and then it has a little bit underneath. Very important, this area, because you know this kind of like shapes her face in some area. And then there's a bulge. You can see that bulge comes out where her cheek is over here. And then this gives birth to the nose. I keep that nose still in check, because then it goes across like that. Look at that. It goes across. And that's all we can see for now. We're not going too far into it because we want to come back to the eye now. So the next thing is this eye, the one on this side. So here we go. Remember, we've already kind of plotted how it would go. And now we need to see the whole shape again. Look at that. It goes like this. Bang, bang, and then round, and then bang. So let's take that shape on. Bang, and then round. almost a little bit higher than the other one. So you've got to put a tilty line there, and all we see is a line in and a line out and something like that. So we've got that kind of feel, and now we just need to plot the opening of the eye, which is somewhere in between like that. Just a little opening, and then it continues like that. And now we need to use what I call plumb lines from the eye downwards. A plumb line, just a plumb line, a simple plumb line. It takes you down. And then from that plumb line, you're going to see a circle. Look at that, a lovely circle somewhere around here. Everything is sketchy. So this is not drawing, by the way. This is sketching. And we teach sketching so that people can just understand how to freehand and approach something without being fearful or a little bit inhibited. You just go for it. And if it doesn't work out, you know what I tell the people in my school? It's just a sketch. So it helps them to get rid of the fear of sketching. So they're going to be attempting so many things. And very quickly, I'm just going to put in the dark there. It's just going to help me anchor. And the dark of the nostril, just very quickly right there. And there's a nice tone underneath right there. And there's a little line and there's something right there. And then over here, I need to continue this lovely, beautiful cheek, because that is where her beauty lies. It's amazing, guys. I'm just shading that bit there, just so I'm so tempted to get on with it, but you know, I don't want to rush it at the same time. Now I'm going to quickly shade inside of this. Like, let's shade inside of the eye over here, and shade inside of the eye over here, just inside of that area there. And underneath, you can see me just using a little bit of a dark just inside, just a tiny bit. That would do. And I kind of like get a shadow on this thing. That shadow, it's kind of interesting. Okay, it's right there, and I've left it there. So you can see how we're planning, moving all along. Now let's continue that line that goes through the head, goes through, and somewhere here we have to start the mouth. So here we go. This is that lip. Where does the lip, you're going to coordinate now. The lip doesn't go beyond that area there. So we know that when we flow with this lip, look at the space. Also checking the space. You know, that space, look at the space, is not much. So you can see me going higher with that stroke. And then it kind of goes straight, the lip there. And then a little bit inwards there. But the bottom lip is, oh, that is beautiful. Like I can see a long ellipse in there. And then a slight little tilt by the side. And then all I can see now is this beautiful underneath. It's like an underneath little shade. I'm going to shade it, and I'm also going to shade the top lip. Top lip's always kind of darker than bottom lip because the light will fall on the bottom lip. Okay, so let's leave that, and then we move to the chin. So watch the movement here. Look at that. Bang. So I go bang. We got to see that flow, like bang. And then in here, we've got a circle, like an imaginary circle for the chin. You've got to be able to see that imaginary circle for that chin. It's there. I've put that in a sketchy way, just in case we don't finish and we know we've got it. And then here, we file out. Okay, and then there, we just branch in, get a bit of this, and then pull that line straight away. That line just has to come down. We just have to pull it straight away. Now we can work on this side where there's a little bit of her, you know, just the cheek. And then all this side, we can go for this angle, a lovely angle there. Look at that angle, the way it goes. Look at that. Look at the tilt of it. Done. All right, let's go. And then we join up so quickly with this lovely bit of area here. Look at the string that goes across. So that string goes across right there. Look at that. It goes across. And then right here we have a kind of dark shape. Let's quickly put that in because it's an anchor area. It's like a dark shape right there. And we can move on. And then underneath here, look at this. All this is a dark area. All dark. And even here is dark. Look at this. All lovely and dark. So I'm actually using the broad stroke without even telling you much about it. But there you go. I'm using the side of the pencil. This is all what's happening with the side of the pencil. It creates this softness. And that's all I'm using at the moment. So let's continue now. Very quickly, there's a lot of detail here, but remember, we have 7 minutes more. We just want to make the best out of this. So what do? We don't go for detail. That's dangerous in sketchland. Detail is the devil is detail. We do not want to get involved in that. So watch how I'm going to plot this according to Shapeland. So let's go straight away from here, a straight line. I go across. I have to see that air. Where does it land? The air. There's something about that shape. I'm going to quickly put that in. 1, 2, 3. And it goes all the way down. And we see something come all the way down like that. And then here, there's a space in between. Bang. We see that. And then look at this shape. Look at, oh, it's all Shapeland, guys. Watch this shape here. And bang. So I want you to see how I'm going to do that. From here, go. From here, bang. And then watch how everything's going to come together in a sketchy way. I am not thinking, I'm not lifting my pencil off the surface. I'm just going with organic lines here. This is another technique I talk about. Organic lines. I'm just going straight into this thing. It's amazing. It's beautiful. But watch the shape. At some point, it has to come down. But where does it come down? Let's note where it comes down. Here, you got this line in here. You got a little bit of a jewelry here. You got a chain in here. And then what you do have is these lovely chains coming in here and lovely chains coming in here and then a straight one. So around here is where you get this, okay? And where does it end? A horizontal line goes across from there. And somewhere inside here, you're going to see that lovely shape that we talked about. And there you go. So we can now see the straightness of all this area over here. And this lovely thing comes out and leads us straight here. Look at that. And everything now kind of fits together. We've got this heart shape here. Look at that heart shape. We can just shade that dark quickly. We can shade all the neck. And we're just going to continue this shade all the way through now. Look at this shade going all the way through, up on it, just the side of the pencil, no stress. We go into this area, we go here. Look at all this. It's just one tone of the pencil. The eye areas are dark though. So we feeling that very dark. You know, we got a little bit of something there. But the major things are being addressed. That's it. A little bit of dark near the mouth, a little bit of dark around this lip, but look at everything. We're just running with this in sketch motion in Sketchland. And then here we got this shape here. We move across. Don't lift the pencil off the surface. You just want to flow with that. That's so important. And then we move on, and then we go in here, into that sketch field. There's a nice dark around here. Look at that dark, and then we go across. And then we feel, look at that, we feel these kind of movements going across here and across there. And then here, there's an opening. Once this happens, this is kind of where, let's put this on a full page so we know where it ends. Somewhere there, and this comes down, and then we've got a lovely dark all over. Lovely dark all over. And then this all continues. So I'm just going to shade this very lightly. It's going to feel like a mid-tone. Going to feel this line like a mid-tone, just lovely mid-tones, just flowing all across the surface. And then over here is where we start to break in and we get these darks. So let's break in, really strong break in with the broad strokes. Now, this is where I go crazy with the broad strokes, okay? So here, there's a dark. We go in, we go in, we go in. All this area becomes dark, and then we got chains. We're just going to put those chains in. I'm using the tip of the pencil now, just running those chains in. And then let's get into that air area. Very quickly get into the air. Put a little bit of shade in and put a little bit of this in and then go dark again. Wow, this is wonderful. Like, wow, let's go dark. And then underneath, whoa, this is crazy. We can then find little bits and pieces in between this, like bang, like bang, like bang. And then textures, we can just run this in a sketchy way, move it across. And then here we can go in and darken. And this is the fun of this thing. Like, we can even make mistakes, but we're not fixated on that. And then there's a little plait over here, and there's a little thing over here that where the hair goes across, and another one where the hair goes across, and boom, we've just got back to inside here where there's another chain, and then we just come back inside the head again. So a little bit of a dark line, a little bit of a feeling on that eye, a little bit of just an opening on that eye here, an opening on the eye here, a bit of a curve in here, not all that inside the head. We take that on, a little bit of a move in here, and then underneath we find ourselves having 2 more minutes. Can you imagine? Just 2 more minutes for this lovely sketch. And when you notice that the guy you're sketching or someone you're sketching is going to get off, then all you need to do is to think, what can make this work? What is going to make it work? What is going to really make it work so that I don't waste time? I'm going to quickly shade all this, shade all this, shade all this, shade all this, and then I just go for my darks. That's the thing. So here we go. Inside the darks, inside here, I got to get my darks going with the broad stroke just quickly. Inside here, all the broad strokes. Inside here, inside here. Just get my broad strokes, all the broad strokes going, all my darks. Make sure, because tone is so important. So just get all my darks flowing and going. Everywhere where I know there's a dark, I'm going to really hone on into it. So you can see me honing on into the darks. The neck area is really dark. You see me no mercy there. There's a few chains there where I can come in and put highlights. And then just 1 minute more. What do we do with that? We just quickly say, okay, now I'm going to take out highlights, because that 1 minute will be all about highlights. So let's work on the eye area and just bring in the electric eraser and just work on the eyes inside here. We work on that highlight on the nose, all the light area around that nose. Look at that lovely light. We've got the light on the ring on the nose, the light at the bottom here, the light over on the top over here, and the light inside. So this electric eraser, it does miracles. And a bit on the lip around here, a bit on the lip there, a bit of a carving there, a bit here. I'm going to soften some of this with my finger, and that effect that goes across, it goes light around here. There's a strong light that comes in over here, guys. Look at that. And then I'm going to come back to my pencil and really work that dark in a smudgy way, just to make sure we get that feeling in the eye. And underneath here, just that lovely feeling. And then make sure that we get that on the area where the nose goes in, so that it feels right. Everything in art, the people that know me in my school, I'm always talking about feeling, because people connect with art in an emotional way, and we have to find ways of communicating that when we do our art. So there's that feeling to it, the feeling on the top of the head, that light, the light that catches over here, a little bit here. And let's go even in on the top here, there's light. You can see how I'm using the eraser to take out that light. There's a strong light that goes across. And this area, look at this. This is all in the light. So I'm putting that out. That air area, it was in the light. We've got to get that, and a little bit there. And there's some lovely little, I'm just going to tip on these areas. The texture in that hair on this side. Look at how I'm running that over beautifully. And then all this chains, I'm just going to tap on them to have an effect of chains. I'm not detailing. This is sketching, guys. This is not drawing. It's sketching, and it's sketching at its best. It's sketching on another level. And then those freaky out things that look like Pharaoh stuff, I'm just running my eraser over them. And this area has a little bit of chain to it. And this area is dark. I'm just going to go straight in here with some of those darks. And guys, we are almost in glory land. Let's just use the blender now to feel things together. So let's go over here. I'm just going to blend things so that they all feel together. A little bit of blending here, a little bit of blending here, a little bit of blending over here. All this, we just want to bring it together now. Just make sure it feels like one. All that together. And then we just, clean up the surface. And then the final bits just go on a real dark, a rampage of dark. Like we're coming back, there's a bit of textures in here. I think I can do that with the eraser. So there's some textures in here. Let's go into that. Just tap on them. It creates that lovely bit of texture in there. A lovely bit of texture in the hair. And then we come back into it and just find those middle points. Just carefully find the middle points in the most sketchy manner. And I wouldn't want to go on more than this, just for a taster. So that's how I will address this. I'm not going to go anything more. I'm resisting the temptation. You can see me. The final bit is that light chain. Just want to bring that out. 2 light chains over there, and there could be more to it. But, if this woman was standing in front of us and we were sketching her, this is the beauty of the sketch. So it doesn't matter what sketch I do, I'm going to sign it, because I feel, someone might still want to buy my sketch, get it signed. And I would just call it Sudanese woman. Sudanese woman. Brilliant. Bang. Boom. Thanks ever so much for watching. In my sketching school, I teach artists how to sketch portraits, figures, landscapes, urban landscapes, animals, even still life objects and man-made objects confidently and accurately. So if you want to find out, click in the link below this video and you will find out more about my online sketching movement. Let's do it! Show them!